These scumbags blocked that ambulance from leaving the stadium for 20 minutes.
And you want to you're now accusing us of blocking the ambulance to let you go to hospital?
I think he is in the back pockets of Matchroom and Eddie Hearn.
But what you cannot do is lie about, and make accusations about me and my company.
Because of the dehydration is because he elected to take £1 million bonus to not have a rehydration clause. So why does everybody else have to be so concerned about his health if he's not concerned about it himself?
The accusations that it was Matchroom who held up the ambulance is what concerns me.
Promoter Eddie Hearn erupted in fury at Chris Eubank Jr., with tensions spilling far beyond the ring as talk of a looming legal battle threatens to overshadow the anticipated rematch between Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. The conflict began when Chris Eubank Jr. accused Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn of pretending to be good guys. According to Eubank, Hearn and Benn will sabotage over anyone and cut corners to get ahead. He claimed they have been ruthless and immoral in their actions.
These men they did everything they could to try and destroy me in this last fight. Contract breaches, fines, rehydration clauses, sabotage weigh-in, biased commentary and refereeing.
Oh my God.
The list goes on, it's endless. Even on fight night, they blocked my team from coming to the stadium for 30 minutes. And then when I arrive, they have security walking in front of my car, trying to slow me down and stall me as much as possible to make me late.
I've never heard so much waffle.
Furthermore, it did not stop there. Chris went further, accusing Eddie Hearn and his company of targeting him. He claimed that when he arrived at the stadium for the first Benn and Eubank fight, Hearn had sent people to disrupt him in the changing room.
It's incredible the levels that these guys will stoop to. I finally get into the stadium. I get into my change room, I'm preparing. They're sending idiots to try and disrupt me in my changing room. We get through that. I go out there, outside these walls, and I win the fight. Now, after the fight, due to severe dehydration, I'm put in an ambulance and I have to go to hospital.
In addition, Eubank also revealed that after the fight, he was placed in an ambulance and accused Eddie and Matchroom of blocking the vehicle's way, stalling it for nearly 20 minutes.
I'm in the ambulance, and
you still got it?
These scumbags blocked that ambulance from leaving the stadium for 20 minutes.
By the way, this is an intrigue. Keep going, because this is all being noted.
20 minutes.
Absolute waffle.
20 minutes.
Waffle. Waffle.
I'm laying there in a gurney, oxygen mask on, and the car cannot move. They will not open the gates to let us leave. Now,
who won't open the gates?
Now, if this was a serious injury that I had sustained, that 20 minutes of being
Chris, I want to know who wouldn't open the gates. It's important.
That 20 minutes...
You can't answer that, can you?
...could have been the difference between life and death.
Moreover, Eubank further stated that both Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn lied to the media, claiming he was taken to the hospital because of a broken jaw. He insisted that was not the reason for his hospital visit and called them conmen, describing them as masters of deception at the highest level.
And while this was all happening, Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn are in here talking to the media, lying about how I had a broken jaw and that was the reason why I was going to hospital. Bullshit artists of the highest degree.
Chris, can we get one thing clear? Can you
Can
you just confirm that you are accusing
Yes, I am accusing... yes.
Okay, say it.
You guys blocked me from getting out.
Say it.
You know, because...
Matchroom.
Who else could it have been?
Go on, say it.
Why was I
Say
in,
it.
why was I in an ambulance for
Say
20
that
minutes?
Matchroom
Why was
stops
I
you from going to the hospital.
Why was I what? So you can try and sue me with your little lawyer?
Not at all. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
I think you're talking about the wrong guy.
Stop interrupting me. You're not even
Say
supposed to be up here.
Say it.
However, Eddie Hearn countered Chris Eubank, saying that he is simply trying to play the victim. Hearn claimed he sees right through him and accused Chris of using the situation to gain more popularity.
What I don't want to have is someone lying about what happened on the night to try and gain more popularity.
Ego and
about
narcissism we're dealing with
about all the bullshit you want to.
I don't need to make anything up. It's all documented.
You're playing the victim.
All documented. I'm not
we
the
see
victim.
through you.
Because the mask is slipping. It's all bullshit. And you want to accuse, you're now accusing us of blocking the ambulance to let you go to hospital. You will see an apology from Chris Eubank Jr. soon, because that people don't even really, he don't even know that on the night there's a complete log from the paramedics, the ambulances, the British Boxing Board of Control about what happens. I mean, firstly, his contract's not even with Matchroom, it's with Turkey Al Sheikh and Seller. But that's okay, and that's why I wanted to hear him repeat it up there. Because what he's trying to do is bluff the public. You know, all this thing about, oh yeah, you know, I've grannies and kids and what they did to me on the way. There was nothing.
But Chris did not stop there. He claimed that Eddie Hearn even had Robert Smith, the chairman of the British Boxing Board of Control, in his pocket, who, behind the scenes, was trying everything to sabotage Chris's chances in the fight.
Now this idiot allowed a room full of media and cameramen into my private weigh-in the day before the fight. He let Conor Benn fight in gloves filled with horsehair, knowing that was a direct breach of the contract I had for this fight. On fight night, he personally escorted an arch nemesis of mine, Billy Joe Saunders, to my changing room. It's viciously clear for me to see that this toad is nothing more than a puppet and a pawn. I think he is in the back pockets of Matchroom and Eddie Hearn.
In response, Eddie lashed out at Chris Eubank Jr., calling his latest accusations poor and bizarre. The Matchroom boss made it clear that what cannot be tolerated are lies being spread about his company. Hearn stressed that Eubank is usually sharp, but on this occasion he believes the fighter has crossed the line with reckless claims against Matchroom boxing.
Just
regarding the
I'll be
ambulance.
honest with you, like, Chris is normally quite sharp. I thought it was, one, it was a poor performance, and two, it was bizarre. I mean, the accusations that he made, I mean, I'm not really that kind of legal guy that's like, right, but what you cannot do is lie about, you know, and make accusations about me and my company about stopping an ambulance. I mean, it's the most bizarre thing. You stopped the ambulance from taking me away. I mean, you know, he doesn't even know that with the British Boxing Board of Control, there's a log from the paramedics that tell you exactly what happens minute by minute. It was different, and I don't like the whole victim playing all the time from Chris Eubank Jr. Oh, this happened, that happened. They never let Billy Joe Saunders in the dressing room to look at the gloves. You should be allowed to go in. They stopped him from going in. So, and also, like, yeah, I was really disgusted with what he did up there today.
Consequently, Eddie revealed his plans to sue Chris Eubank Jr., claiming that what Chris said at the press conference was nothing but lies. He stated that Chris continued making baseless accusations, and now he will be dealt with for defamation, lies, and slander. Hearn made it clear that they intend to take serious action against Eubank.
Aware? No, I'm just saying, were you aware? Yeah. Have you heard this before?
No, never. I'm looking at Frank Smith, who runs the entire show. He's looking there with total disgust. And it's Eubank saying, what are you going to do, sue me? Yeah. Because when you talk about my company like that and make accusations like that, you will pay. And I don't want to go all Frank Warren, but Frank Warren's right. You can't say things like that and try and convince the public about lies and bullshit about what happened. So that will be dealt with. The other stuff is like a constant, oh, the gloves had horsehair. The gloves are approved by the British Boxing Board of Control. They're Everlast gloves that dozens and dozens of fighters use every single week in the country. And if you don't understand boxing, or you don't actually have a brain, you're going to listen to this guy and start thinking that this is actually true.
Meanwhile, Wade Plemons commented that he could not believe any of this was true. According to him, Chris could simply be playing mind games and getting under the skin of Eddie Hearn and Conor Benn.
This does sound a little crazy. Again, this could be mind games, and it probably is, just trying for Chris Eubank Jr. just to try to wind up Eddie Hearn and Conor and get them all out of sorts. And if that's the case, he's probably going to be successful. But there's a certain line you can't really, like, the accusations are getting pretty specific. Talking about like having security guards walk in front of his van and delay this, delay that, sabotage this. I'm trying to look at this from...
He said that Chris Eubank is walking right over the line that could cost him. While he found the situation somewhat amusing, he added that at some point, Chris has to realize he cannot just allege everything and publicly claim that Eddie Hearn and Matchroom were behind it.
You know, you can go a little too far with this. Chris Eubank Jr. is alleging that Eddie Hearn, I assume Matchroom, somehow stopped him from leaving the event, somehow had control of the gates in and out of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and held him up for 20 minutes. And he's insinuating that if it was a more severe injury than just dehydration, that they would have been responsible for the difference between life and death. This is what I was talking about when I said you can only go so far with that kind of stuff. I don't know how stuff in the UK works versus in the US, but libel and slander, I feel like he's essentially saying that they wouldn't let him leave and go get treatment. Like they were preventing him on purpose from getting medical aid. That is crazy to say, and I can't believe that's true at all.
Similarly, True Geordie stated that the accusations from Chris Eubank Jr. are like WWE scripts. He added that the idea of Eddie Hearn stopping the ambulance is absurd, and said he does not believe that Hearn could do something like that.
This is some Vince McMahon shit. The idea that Eddie Hearn has stood at the exit going, "Don't let them leave!" I don't believe this. This is bullshit. There's no way that Eddie Hearn and his team are trying to stop Eubank Jr. from getting to the hospital. This is absolute insanity right now.
Additionally, True Geordie also criticized Chris Eubank's claims about the rehydration clauses, stating that Chris could have easily said no and denied the clause. Instead, he agreed to it and is now doing nothing but complain.
I think Eubank does love to play the victim though. Like, I think a lot of what he did in the run-up last time, like, you signed a contract to fight at 160 pounds, a weight that you've been fighting at for a long time. Yes, there was a rehydration clause in it. You agreed to that. You didn't have to fight Conor Benn. You could have said, no, I'm not agreeing to that. I'm going to fight someone else. But you agreed to it and then did nothing but moan and moan and moan about it. And like, I listen to fighters like Chael Sonnen, and it's like, when you sign on the dotted line, just get on with it, man. Stop acting like you're a fucking martyr. Mind you, I do enjoy the fact that he complains. It does make it more interesting.
Furthermore, Simon Jordan stated that he is tired of the nonsense being spread about the rehydration clause that Chris willingly signed. He said the reason Chris Eubank had to go to the hospital was because he chose to take a £1 million bonus to waive the rehydration clause. Jordan added that if Chris himself is not concerned about his health, then nobody else should be either.
Because he elected to take £1 million bonus to not have a rehydration clause. So why does everybody else have to be so concerned about his health if he's not concerned about it himself? And this narrative has got to stop being spun out.
Simon also explained that it is ridiculous to blame Eddie Hearn for stopping the ambulance. He explained that it makes no sense because the environment is one Eddie does not own and is renting from Tottenham Hotspurs, and responsibility for the stadium would partly fall on Spurs and its management. According to Simon Jordan, this is simply Chris Eubank's technique to generate interest in the fight.
Yep. But this idea that Eddie Hearn or people like Eddie Hearn would have been stopping an ambulance on an environment that Eddie Hearn doesn't own, is renting from Tottenham Hotspur, and the responsibility for the stadium and its policing of it would in part fall on Tottenham Hotspur and its management, is just ridiculous. And this the only thing I can think of is this is the shtick that this fight is going to have some of its press conference and some of the hype around it and some of the clickbait opportunities to regain the interest that people supposedly already have in it.
Meanwhile, Gareth A. Davies stated that Chris Eubank demanded a lot of answers and made some serious allegations. However, he noted that some of it appeared to be a ploy, some a gambit, and some designed to get under Eddie Hearn's skin.
A lot of things that he wants the boxing world and the media to answer, but some of it was a ploy, some of it was gambits, some of it was just to get under the skin, maybe of Eddie Hearn, and I feel like he did get under the skin of Eddie Hearn today.
Absolutely. Rarely do we see Eddie Hearn rattled, and I think that...
Moreover, Gareth added that the accusations against Matchroom and Eddie are absurd because Eddie Hearn is many things, but he is not the kind of vile person capable of doing what Chris accused him of.
That was particularly chaotic that night. The accusations that it was Matchroom who held up the ambulance is what concerns me, because Eddie Hearn is a lot of things, but that is not the kind of thing that he is wanton to do or capable of doing. I thought it was very ill-advised for Chris Eubank Jr. to break in on Eddie Hearn talking about Ricky Hatton. Yeah. He clearly wasn't listening to what Hearn was saying and had a pre-posturing idea to break in as soon as Eddie started speaking. And in my view, cannot have been listening to what Eddie was saying, because all he was doing was trying to pay tribute to Ricky Hatton. So it was very ill-advised, and I understand why Eddie was indignant at it for a start.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think whatever Eddie said, the first word that came out of his mouth, I think he was going to talk over anyway. So I'm pretty confident that Chris didn't...
No, but it doesn't excuse what he did, and he now knows what he's done.
Absolutely not.
He should have issued an apology by now already to the family of Ricky Hatton or to fans watching, just to say, I wasn't taking in what he was saying at the time. My condolences to Ricky Hatton and his family.
Yeah.
It goes without... Be classy.
100%.
Come on, be classy, mate, you know? You've got your gripes. You want to complain about the which is fair enough, about the rehydration,
the ambulance,
the ambulance, the contract breaches, the fines, the rehydration clause, the sabotaged weigh-in, the biased refereeing and the biased comments in the commentary. Complain about all of that, but don't complain while someone's paying tribute.
On the other hand, Chris Eubank stated that he is not afraid of offending anyone. He said these people need to have a light shown on them and insisted that whenever anyone does something wrong, he is going to expose them.
I mean, you have to shine a light on these people, otherwise they keep getting away with all the dark and treacherous things they're doing in the sport. No one speaks up. Everyone's too afraid. Oh, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to lose out on a fight, or I don't want to mess up my money. I don't care. I don't need to be here. So if you do something wrong, I'm going to expose you.
In addition, Chris stated that he would have no problem with Eddie Hearn and would not have exposed him if Eddie had been honest about being a bad guy instead of maintaining a facade of being a good guy.
He's a bad guy pretending to be a good guy. You know, if he just owned being a bad guy, then I wouldn't have anything to say about him. But the fact that he tries to act like he's this nice guy that's caring and doing all these things for people, he's not. He's a bad person.
In contrast, Gareth Davies also came to defend Robert Smith, praising him for his ethics and hard work. He stated that there is nothing negative about Robert, and in fact, highlighted that Robert gives more than 100% to his job. Davies added that Robert has often found the role very stressful due to backlash and does not wish to serve as chairman for a long tenure.
We do need to find out why he was delayed 20 minutes if he was, because the board will take that very seriously, because he attacked the Boxing Board of Control and Robert Smith, called him a scumbag. There's no scumbag about Robert Smith. He takes it very seriously. In fact, Robert's found it so tough at times, he keeps saying it's my last year. I don't know if I can do this anymore. He takes a lot of flack. He works extremely hard. He's a very diligent guy. He's incredibly consistent in what do we call boxing, professional boxing? The f***ing Wild West. And it is the Wild West. Different sanctioning bodies, different rules. It's not easy to cut your way through it. I really respect the man. He doesn't...
Additionally, Harlem Eubank added that in the sport of boxing, things often happen behind the scenes, and Chris is the kind of guy who will not stay silent. He said Chris will always expose injustices and bring to light the issues that fighters usually do not get a chance to speak about.
And very well, excited to see my cousin in action again. He always brings the entertainment. From my knowledge as a fighter, in the industry, there's always a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. And Chris is someone that is always going to shine the light on the things that a lot of fighters don't get a chance to talk about.
Meanwhile, Eddie Hearn clapped back, sarcastically saying that the real good guy is Chris Eubank, noting his popularity with grannies and young children.
More famous than me,
Oh, that's impossible. You're the people's champ.
What? But you said it.
No, you
said you're even more famous than me.
Grannies and children
I
who
am.
are throwing themselves at you like you're the Pope. It's incredible.
That's absolutely
and even
true.
with half a toenail.
But
I can't believe it.
The fact
but that's
of the matter
interesting.
is,
the fact is, you're telling us we stop your ambulance from going to the hospital.
A glorified desk jockey.
Desk jockey?
That's what you are.
Okay, that's interesting.
Commenting on the entire scenario, Wade Plemons stated that he knew beforehand the press conference would turn into a Chris Eubank versus Eddie Hearn show. This time, Wade highlighted that Eddie is not just sitting and listening, but actively engaging in the banter. He joked that he hopes Conor Benn gets a word in beforehand, since he is the one actually fighting.
Thought it would be. This has become the Chris Eubank Jr. versus Eddie Hearn show. And you know what? This time around, Eddie is actually giving it back to him a little bit. Like, Chris is, you know, doing the thing where he's like, Eddie's a scumbag and here's why. Some of that stuff kind of crazy. But Eddie is giving it to him a little bit. This build up to this fight is going to be insane. I just hope that Conor gets a word in edgewise, because he's the one fighting. I know Eddie is probably one of the best talkers and promoters in boxing, but Conor got to say something too. Conor got to, you know what I'm saying? He got to get in there. He's the one that's going to be fighting. On fight night, it's going to be him and Chris Eubank.
Following that, Eddie Hearn later revealed that he saw Conor Benn and observed that Benn was simply done with the situation. He did not want to hear another word from Chris and was focused on getting back to training to make things right this time.
I don't know. I didn't like what I heard from up there from him. I thought he was just trying to be too clever. And for us, like, I want to build a fight and I want everybody to get excited. But at the same time, for Conor Benn, I just saw a guy that was like, can I go back to camp now? I don't want to talk to this idiot. I just want to train and try and get it right this time.
But Conor Benn did get his chance to take a few swings at Chris. He acknowledged his respect for Bomac, but added that even Bomac McIntyre, whom Chris had recruited as his coach for the rematch, could not polish someone like Eubank.
Flattered that you brought Bomac in, because I know you need it. And he's a great coach. You're a great coach, Bomac, and I've got love for you, mate, but you can't polish a turd. Apologies.
The tension between Eddie Hearn and Chris Eubank Jr. has escalated far beyond the ring, with accusations, counterclaims, and threats of legal action now threatening to overshadow the upcoming rematch. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss a beat, and we will see you in the next video with more exciting updates.